Here's an update on the Atomic BZ5 after getting the new toe-in bar. This is 3D printed and it's 3 degrees toe-in. The stock one before was 4 to 4.5 degrees toe-in. The car right now, I did 6.91 in the new layout for late August, early September. 691, that's a very good lap time for all-wheel drive with 5500 kV motor. Again, 5500 motor here is more or less like a 4500 GL. This is an NHX 5500. It's not very punchy and it's not very fast. Right now, with the tow bar and the camber that I did is running really, really good. The back of this car that was causing the car to traction roll is not traction rolling anymore. The back end has the right amount of traction, forward and cornering traction. The back end is not chattering anymore. Before, when I hit a sweeper, the back end would chatter, and that's when it would traction roll. It's also from before, when I would take the sweeper and the car is 4 degrees towed in. When under throttle, you corner hard, the wheel has this plate that tows in. Okay, so it's already 4.5 degrees of toe in, and it tows in even more. The back end has this. Right now there's no play because it's got a nice tight tolerance with the new 3D printed tow bar. So look, it's almost not moving. That movement that you see is because I didn't over tighten the wheel nut. Okay, before it would like move a lot in the back. It would tow in. So when you corner, the harder you push the car into the corner, the outside wheel is wanting to tow in even more. Okay, and that's when the back end would start to traction roll. And also, this car had maximum 1 degree of camber in the back, and the tires were wearing out with positive camber. Now look, it's almost even after running 3 degrees of camber. So the tow bar at 3 degrees and the camber to now 3 degrees, the car's rear end is smooth, very nice feel on power, off power, and when cornering. This car is now good, hitting fast lap at 691. Now let's talk about the car setup and what I did to the car. The front, I have red springs. The camber in the front is -2 degrees. The toe out is -3 degrees. The ride height in the front is 2 millimeter measured here. The atomic aluminum ball diff is a little bit loose than the rear. The front wheels, I have 20 millimeter size in 0 offset PNF1 with flange. Okay, wheels. And the tires, I have KS1134. That's the low profile soft PN racing tires. In the back, I have toe in 3 degrees, camber at 3 degrees. The ball diff is tight. The aluminum, I had to run it tight. It still slips, but it's tighter than how I would normally set up my all-wheel drive. It's pretty tight, but it's still slipping. See, but it's yeah. The springs, I have the stock front springs that I moved in the back so that I can lower the ride height and I don't have to preload the springs. By doing this, I can run the back at 1.9 without preloading the springs. When the springs are in the back are preloaded, the back end bounces a lot. And ever since I moved to the shorter spring, the back end calmed down. Okay, now I can run 1.9 or 2 millimeter ride height. At the moment, this is 2 in the front and 1.9 in the rear. During the test though, it was at 1.9, 1.9 when I hit the 691. The tires, 19 millimeter, 0 offset in 11 millimeter wide. The PNF1 also with flange. The tires, I have Marka15 Slicks. Both tires are glued to the rims, no glue on the sidewall. And when you tighten the wheel nut, it's not, When I tighten it all the way in, I back out a little bit. Never had any issue with the dog bone coming out or breaking something in the axle or the outdrives. No issues on that. Now let's talk about the issue I was having with the car. I've been mentioning about the tow bar. The stock one is not good. Make one or buy the aluminum one, or I think whatever Atomic is selling, buy that and don't use the stock one. And it's normal for brand new cars. The screws here were coming loose, so this side was always loose. After 300 laps, I think it's 300 laps, I tightened them. And now it's been 70 laps, it hasn't come loose. The back is always coming off, the upper arms coming off from the ball studs, both sides, when I had 1 degree camber. Now it hasn't come off ever since I went with 3 degrees camber. Like I said, when I corner, left or right, the back of this car doesn't chatter anymore like that. Before it used to do that. It doesn't do that anymore. And before, when it would do that, the upper arms would come off. Now, because it hasn't done that, it hasn't come off. I would always check the car like after maybe 7 laps. I would just check and make sure that everything's still there. Nothing has come off. Everything. After 36 laps, everything is still in place. Also, I should say that the total laps I did, to hit the 6.9, I think I did 12 laps and I hit 6.9. But the total laps I did that day was 36 laps. But that 36 laps, there's also 2 other cars on the track driving a stock car. So it wasn't just by myself. Most of the time when I do the testing, it's just me on the track by myself. This time, I only had 2 hours to drive, and that's the only time I had with this car. And it's not bad because I already hit 6.9, which is really good for that track layout and for this car. Oh yeah, I should mention that to get the car rear end to 3 degrees camber, I had to sand down some materials from the outer end caps. This, the A end cap, okay, and then the B end caps. Shaved it down to 3 degrees of camber. I measured the camber with the MWX setup station as well as the ARR gauge, the one that stands up, and it's 3 degrees camber in the back. Now I can adjust to 2 degrees. I just remove the screws and twist the end cap because there's still set screw inside there. Okay, and then I can adjust to 2 degrees, 1 degree, but right now it's perfect at 3 degrees. There's no chatter going on in the back, and this car never felt like it's going to traction roll. This 36 laps, the car did not traction roll at all. Nothing broke. I will say that although the car is going straight, because I'm not used to this layout anymore, the servo horn with the turnbuckle, servo saver, because I'm not used to this layout, I can feel that the car turns left and right once in a while, maybe once every 7 laps, every time I hit a bump. This is not something everyone will notice if you're used to this layout, with different brand cars. This design have this play, even if you're not running a servo saver. And the more play left and right, the more you would feel the car would drift to the left or to the right when the car is on the straightaway or on the sweeper and it hits a bump. That's just what I noticed coming from a car that doesn't have this. My race cars doesn't have that. 0. If you pay close attention to the servo horn, it's not moving. And look at how much movement the wheels are doing. So I do notice that the car, although it's going straight, once in a while would slowly drift to one side. That it feels like I need to adjust the trim of my radio. but it's not. Not just to this car, okay? To cars that has this design. It has that, it doesn't wander, but it has that drift, you know, when you go on the straightaway. You can do straight, consistent 7 laps, and after that, you know, it'll have that, once in a while, it'll have that drift. When you buy this car, brand new, do you really need to buy all this upgrade that I did? No, you don't need to. Especially if you're running the 3500 motor or a slow 4500 motor or a 4000 kV motor, you don't need to. Even the stock ball diff is fine. There's 3 things that I would suggest to upgrade though. The back, put the front springs in the back, okay? So you're able to lower the ride height and not preload the springs. Second, the tow bar. Get 2.5 or 3 degrees of tow bar. Anything better than the stock tow bar. 3, shave the upper end caps so you can get 2 or 3 degrees of camber. So those are the 3 things I would do when you buy this car brand new. You don't even need the fancy ball diff. Even the stock one is fine. Just get stock springs in the front, put it in the back, get a tow bar, shave. I didn't say buy, shave the material off of the end caps to get 3 degrees of camber, okay? So really, you don't need to spend a lot of money. Then if you have extra budget, then get the ball diff, because it is better, the ball diffs. I think this car would work really good with the slower motor, like if there is a stock, super stock class, like a 3500 class for all-wheel drive, I think this car is perfect for that, because it drives so smooth. The throttle, on power, off power, when you're letting off, is just linear and smooth. The car is so quiet, and it's just, the power delivery on this car is smooth. And when I jam on the throttle to full throttle, it's not slipping anymore. Before, it would feel like a slingshot. It goes slow. It's like a turbo lag, you know, on a real car. It's like slow and then shoo. This car doesn't have that anymore. It punches out of the corner, but it still doesn't have the same amount of punch if you're running the shaft drive. This is still belt drive. So when you come out of the corner, that punch is not as abrupt as the shaft drive. It still punches out of the corner just smoothly. So that's the update for this car. No chatter in the front, no chatter in the back, no traction roll. Car goes straight for 90%, 95% of the time. Except once in a while, not all the time, okay? Like I said, you probably won't even notice it. I notice it because I put 50,000 laps on my other car that doesn't have this. So something like this, I would notice, okay? So that is it for the update on this car. This car was running a Lexan Mako GT body. I'm using the Mako GT bumper. So I'm done with this car, testing it. I'm going to return this to the owner. The reason why I have this yellow medium is because one time when I was driving the car aggressively, coming out of a right turn into the straightaway, when I hit the full throttle, the weight of the car was still shifted here, and then when I hit the throttle, the front dug in to the track, and then it lifted here. It almost felt like I did a diff out on this car. So my plan was going to put the yellow spring here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna return this car and have the owner deal with that, okay? I'm done with the all-wheel drive. I'm gonna go run my two-wheel drive now. Okay, thanks.